So continuing on with question 4, we still have factoring, but now we're dealing with a rational expression, so a fraction, something in the numerator that needs to be factored and something in the denominator. And hopefully there will be a common factor, which is what we're searching for, that we can simplify this expression a little bit further. So just a little recap, when we have rational expressions and we're asked to simplify them, I think of it as like a 3-step process. We are really good at factoring. So we're going to factor the numerator as is, pretend that denominator is not even there. We're going to factor that denominator as is, pretend that numerator isn't even there. And then we're going to look for common factors. We always talk about this most basic concept that if I give you 5 divided by 5, you kids know that that equals 1. If then I switch it to 5 from 5 to x, we know x divided by x is equal to 1. And then if I give you something like x plus 2, a quantity, divided by x plus 2, I hope you would recognize, oh, well, that's something divided by its identical self, so that also equals 1. So that's what we're doing when we are looking for common factors as a refresher. We are looking for identical factors in the numerator and denominator because when we would divide them, they would simplify to 1, so we can eliminate them and simplify the expression that we have. So if I factored a numerator and I was left with x plus 5, x minus 2, and then I factor a denominator and I'm left with x plus 5, x minus 4, I see this common factor of x plus 5 in both the numerator and denominator, so that would really simplify to 1, so I can eliminate it from this rational expression and condense or simplify that rational expression to x minus 2 over x minus 4. Now you have to pay attention because sometimes you might factor out a GCF. Say I had to factor out a 3 first. There might not be an answer with that 3 factored out. You might have to redistribute that. So you just have to be mindful and pay attention to that. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at this numerator. We're going to start with that. We're going to say, okay, yeah, let's factor that 2 out. So I'm going to divide each term by 2. That's going to leave me with an x squared minus 49. Now we just did a nice little recap on factoring. So we talked about if something multiplies to a negative, the signs have to be opposite. So we need one positive number and one negative number. So I'm going to set this up as x plus and x minus. Now we didn't talk about difference of perfect squares, which is what we have here. So there is no middle term, there is no x term, which tells me that there's really a 0x there. And so that we need to find 2 numbers that will multiply to this negative 49, but will subtract and leave us with 0. So those numbers have to be the same. The only time you're going to subtract 2 numbers and have 0 is when they are the same number. So we know 7 times negative 7 will give us that negative 49, and 7 minus 7 will leave us with that 0. So that's our numerator, and we can't factor that really any further. Okay, so now we're going to look to our denominator, and we get to put into practice what we just reviewed. So we're multiplying to a positive 49. So if we're multiplying to a positive 49, remember our signs will have to be the same. And we're going to think about this as they need to add to that middle number. And so since we see this negative, that tells us our signs will be x minus and x minus. So we need 2 things that will multiply to a positive 49, and that when we add them, we will be left with a negative 14. And so we know because we're multiplying to a positive, our signs are going to be the same. And because we're adding to a negative, it's going to be x minus and x minus. And hopefully you recognize that the only 2 numbers other than 1 and 49 that multiply to 49 are 7 and 7. And negative 7 minus 7 is negative 14. And so now we're looking for common factors. And so I see that this x minus 7 and this x minus 7 are the same. And so they will simplify because x minus 7 over x minus 7 will go to 1. And once we simplify or cross out those x minus 7s, we are left with D as our final answer.